What if I told you that just one sentence, repeated 100 times every day, could slowly erase years of fear, doubt, limitation, and failure? Not because the words are magical, but because your mind is always listening. Every thought you repeat becomes an instruction. Every emotion you attach becomes a command. And whether you realize it or not, your life today is the echo of the conversations you've been having with yourself. If you're ready to replace those old conversations with words that awaken your hidden potential, then stay with me, because what you're about to hear could become the turning point your future has been waiting for. Every human being carries on an endless conversation within the mind. Most people believe these silent conversations are harmless, but they are quietly shaping every decision, every emotion, and every result. Long before an achievement appears in the outside world, it first exists as a repeated pattern of thought. The mind does not simply record what happens, it responds to what is repeated with conviction. If a person continually says, I am unlucky, nothing ever works for me, or I will probably fail, those words slowly become accepted as truth. Once accepted, they influence behavior, expectations, and opportunities until life begins to mirror those repeated statements. Now imagine reversing that process. Instead of feeding the mind fear, begin feeding it certainty. Instead of rehearsing failure, rehearse success. Choose one empowering statement that reflects the person you are becoming. Repeat it again and again with complete attention. Not mechanically, not absent-mindedly, but with purpose. Let every repetition carry meaning. Let every word create a picture inside your imagination. As you speak, feel the emotions you would experience if your desired future were already real. The mind responds far more deeply to emotion than to empty language. At first, nothing may seem different. The outside world may look exactly the same. Old habits may still try to pull you backward. Doubts may whisper that this practice is accomplishing nothing. Yet beneath the surface, something remarkable is happening. Every repetition is placing another brick into the foundation of a new identity. Every confident word weakens an old belief that once controlled your actions. Every moment of focused repetition creates a stronger mental pattern than the one it is replacing. Eventually, your thoughts begin changing automatically. You notice yourself responding with confidence where fear once appeared. Opportunities that previously seemed invisible begin attracting your attention. Your decisions become clearer because your inner dialogue has become stronger. The greatest transformation is not that the world suddenly changes around you. The greatest transformation is that you become someone who naturally expects success, peace, abundance, and growth. When your expectations change, your actions follow. When your actions improve, your results improve. This is why daily repetition is so powerful. It is not an attempt to escape reality. It is a disciplined process of creating a new internal reality that eventually expresses itself through your choices. The words you repeat today become the beliefs you carry tomorrow, and those beliefs quietly become the life you eventually live. Everything begins with the conversation you choose to have with yourself, because the mind faithfully follows the directions it hears most often. Many people repeat positive words every day and then wonder why nothing changes. They assume that simply speaking an affirmation is enough to transform their lives. Yet words without feeling are like seeds scattered on solid stone. They never take root because they carry no living energy. The true power of any affirmation is not found in the sentence itself, but in the emotion that accompanies it. The mind responds to emotional certainty far more deeply than it responds to ordinary language. When you speak with genuine belief, gratitude, excitement, or confidence, your inner world begins to accept those words as a new reality. Think about the moments that have stayed with you throughout your life. Chances are they were filled with strong emotion, whether joyful or painful. Those experiences became unforgettable because emotion gave them lasting significance. The subconscious mind works in exactly the same way. It remembers what is emotionally charged. This is why fearful thoughts can become deeply rooted after only a few experiences, while positive thoughts often disappear if they are spoken without conviction. The solution is not to repeat affirmations louder. The solution is to repeat them with deeper feeling. As you say your chosen statement, Slow down enough to experience every word. Instead of rushing through the sentence, allow your imagination to create a vivid picture that matches it. If you are affirming health, see yourself moving with strength and energy. If you are affirming abundance, imagine yourself living with confidence and generosity. If you are affirming peace, feel your body relaxing as though every burden has already been lifted. The clearer the picture becomes, the stronger the emotional response. The stronger the emotional response, the more deeply the message settles into your subconscious dot. There may be moments when your current circumstances seem to contradict the words you are speaking. That is precisely when emotion becomes most important. Do not let temporary appearances determine your inner state. Choose to feel grateful before visible results appear. Choose confidence before every obstacle has disappeared. This is not pretending that challenges do not exist. It is deciding that your inner condition will no longer be controlled by external circumstances. By practicing this consistently, you train your mind to remain focused on possibility rather than limitation. With time, the emotions you intentionally create begin to feel natural instead of forced. Confidence replaces hesitation. Gratitude replaces complaint. Hope replaces discouragement. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions start working together in harmony, creating a powerful inner momentum that influences every area of your life. The affirmation becomes more than a sentence you repeat. It becomes an expression of who you are becoming, and your daily experience gradually reflects the emotional reality you have chosen to cultivate from within. The subconscious mind is always listening. It never waits for a formal invitation, and it does not carefully analyze whether every thought you repeat is helpful or harmful. Instead, it quietly absorbs the ideas that appear again and again. Whatever you consistently tell yourself becomes familiar, and whatever becomes familiar begins to feel true. This is why repeated thoughts eventually influence your habits, your confidence, your expectations, and even the way you respond to opportunities. The subconscious is like fertile soil. It does not argue with the seed that is planted. It simply nurtures whatever is given to it through constant repetition. Consider how many beliefs were formed without your conscious choice. As a child, you learned through repeated experiences, repeated words, and repeated observations. If you heard encouragement often enough, confidence grew naturally. If you heard criticism repeatedly, self-doubt may have taken root just as easily. The remarkable truth is that the same process that created limiting beliefs can also create empowering ones. The mind remains capable of learning throughout life. Every repetition offers an opportunity to replace an old pattern with a stronger and more constructive one. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. One powerful moment of inspiration can be uplifting, but lasting transformation comes from returning to the same empowering message every single day. Each repetition strengthens the new pathway within your thinking. At first, the change may be so subtle that you hardly notice it. Then one day, you respond differently to a familiar challenge. Instead of reacting with fear, you remain calm. Instead of expecting failure, you anticipate progress. These small shifts reveal that the subconscious has begun accepting a new internal program. As you repeat your chosen affirmation, allow yourself to believe that every word is becoming part of your identity. Do not measure success by how you feel after a single session. Measure it by your willingness to continue even when immediate results are invisible. Great changes rarely happen all at once. They develop quietly beneath the surface until the new belief becomes stronger than the old one. Once that happens, your actions naturally begin to align with the person you have been mentally rehearsing. The subconscious does not need complicated instructions. It responds best to simple, clear, and emotionally meaningful messages repeated with patience. Every day, you have the opportunity to choose what you are teaching your own mind. You can continue reinforcing doubt, fear, and limitation, or you can deliberately install thoughts that encourage confidence, purpose, and possibility. The choice belongs to you, and the consequences of that choice gradually appear in every area of your life. By directing your inner dialogue with consistency and belief, you become the architect of a stronger mindset, and that stronger mindset becomes the quiet force guiding your future toward the life you have chosen to create. Words have the power to guide your thoughts, but words alone are only one part of the process. To create lasting change, your mind must see what your lips are saying and feel what your heart desires. When these three elements, thought, imagination, and emotion, move together, they create a powerful inner experience that begins shaping your future. This is why repeating an affirmation while visualizing its outcome is far more effective than speaking empty phrases without attention. The subconscious responds most strongly when it cannot separate imagination from deeply felt experience. As you repeat your chosen statement, close your eyes for a moment and allow your imagination to create a vivid picture. Do not focus on the struggle of getting what you want. Instead, picture yourself already living it. If your affirmation is about confidence, imagine yourself walking into every room with calm certainty. If it is about success, see yourself completing meaningful work with enthusiasm and satisfaction. If it is about peace, picture yourself smiling with a relaxed mind and a grateful heart. Make the scene as clear as possible. Notice the details, the expressions on your face, the people around you, and the feelings that naturally arise from that experience. The purpose of visualization is not to escape reality. It is to train your mind to become familiar with a better version of yourself. Every achievement is easier to pursue when your mind has already accepted it as possible. When you repeatedly imagine yourself succeeding, your subconscious begins treating that image as something natural rather than something distant. This quiet shift changes how you think, how you speak, and how you act. Confidence begins replacing hesitation because your mind has rehearsed success so many times that it no longer feels unfamiliar. There will be days when the image seems difficult to believe. Old memories, present challenges, or temporary setbacks may try to interrupt your focus. Do not allow those moments to determine the direction of your practice. Continue seeing yourself as the person you are becoming instead of the person you have always been. Growth begins the moment you stop allowing yesterday's experiences to define tomorrow's possibilities. Every clear mental picture weakens the influence of old limitations and strengthens your vision of a brighter future. As this practice becomes part of your daily routine, you may notice subtle but meaningful changes. Your posture becomes stronger, your decisions become clearer, your reactions become calmer. You begin recognizing opportunities that once escaped your attention because your focus has changed. The image you repeatedly hold in your mind gradually shapes the person you become in everyday life. When your thoughts, your emotions, and your imagination work together in harmony, they create an inner blueprint that quietly guides every choice you make, allowing your outer life to reflect the powerful vision you have consistently carried within. Many people begin their journey with great enthusiasm. They repeat empowering words for a few days, visualize a brighter future, and feel inspired by the possibility of change. Then, when immediate results fail to appear, they begin to question the process. Doubt quietly replaces confidence, and they abandon the very practice that was beginning to reshape their thinking. Real transformation rarely announces itself with dramatic signs. It develops gradually, one thought at a time, one decision at a time, and one day at a time. The greatest changes are often invisible before they become undeniable. Think about how a tree grows. For a long period, its most important work happens beneath the surface. The roots spread deeper into the ground before the branches reach toward the sky. From the outside, it may appear that nothing is happening, but beneath the soil, a strong foundation is being established. Personal growth follows the same principle. Every time you repeat your affirmation with belief, every time you choose confidence over fear, and every time you return to your practice despite distractions, you are strengthening unseen roots that will eventually support visible success. Consistency is more valuable than intensity because the subconscious responds to regular patterns. A single day of extraordinary motivation cannot replace weeks of faithful repetition. It is the simple habit of showing up every morning and every evening that gradually rewrites old mental programs. Some days you will feel inspired, while other days your affirmations may seem ordinary. Continue anyway. Your progress is not determined by how motivated you feel on any particular day. It is determined by your willingness to keep moving forward regardless of temporary emotions. As your persistence grows, your identity begins to change. You no longer depend on external encouragement because your confidence comes from within. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming become opportunities to practice a stronger mindset. Instead of asking whether the process is working, you begin noticing how differently you respond to life situations. You become calmer under pressure, more optimistic during uncertainty, and more determined when obstacles appear. These quiet changes reveal that the repetition has become part of your character rather than merely part of your routine. Over time, your actions begin reflecting your new beliefs. You make wiser choices because your thinking has become clearer. You recognize opportunities because your attention is no longer consumed by fear or self doubt. The future you once imagined starts becoming your present reality, not because of one extraordinary moment, but because of countless ordinary moments of persistence. Every repetition, every visualization, and every act of faith has contributed to the person you have become. Life changes most profoundly when you refuse to stop before the results arrive. Persistence is not simply repeating the same words every day. It is choosing to believe in your potential even when progress seems slow. It is trusting that each small effort is adding strength to your mind and direction to your future. When you remain faithful to the process, the person you become is far more valuable than the goal you achieve, because a transformed mind continues creating success long after the first dream has been fulfilled. Every lasting transformation begins with a change in identity. Most people spend their lives trying to achieve better results while continuing to think of themselves in the same limited way. They hope success will give them confidence, abundance will make them feel secure, or recognition will finally convince them of their worth. Yet true change happens in the opposite direction. The person you become determines the results you experience. Before your outer world reflects a new reality, your inner image of yourself must first be transformed. The mind always acts in harmony with the identity it accepts as true. When you repeat an empowering affirmation 100 times each day, you are doing far more than speaking positive words. You are introducing your subconscious to a new version of yourself. Each repetition is a reminder that you are no longer defined by old failures, temporary setbacks, or limiting beliefs. Instead of identifying with fear, you begin identifying with courage. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who constantly struggles, you begin seeing yourself as someone who finds solutions. This shift in identity quietly influences every thought, every decision, and every action that follows. Imagine waking up each morning already believing that you are capable, disciplined, peaceful, and worthy of success. Notice how differently you would approach your day. You would speak with greater confidence, make decisions with greater clarity, and face challenges with greater resilience. Nothing in the external world may have changed overnight, but everything within you has begun moving in a new direction. When your identity changes, your behavior naturally follows because people consistently act according to who they believe they are. This is why it is important to think, speak, and behave as the person you are becoming rather than the person you have been. If your goal is to become confident, begin making decisions with confidence today. If your vision is to live with abundance, practice gratitude and generosity today. If your dream is to become peaceful, choose calm responses even during difficult moments. Every action that aligns with your desired identity strengthens the message you are sending to your subconscious. Soon, these actions no longer feel like effort. They become your natural way of living. There will be moments when your old identity tries to return. Familiar doubts may appear, reminding you of past disappointments or convincing you that lasting change is impossible. Do not allow those old patterns to define your future. Every time you choose your new way of thinking instead of your old habits, you weaken the influence of yesterday and strengthen the reality you are creating today. Progress is not measured by perfection, but by the number of times you return to the person you have chosen to become. The greatest achievement is not simply reaching a goal. It is becoming someone whose thoughts, emotions, words, and actions consistently reflect strength, purpose, and confidence. Once your identity changes, success is no longer something you chase because it becomes a natural expression of the person you have become. The life you desire is built from the inside out, and every repetition, every visualization, and every intentional choice brings you closer to becoming the person who naturally creates the future you once only imagined.